And there's a few layers within that, within a school context. The first one really goes back to our values. What is the right thing to do? So that, I guess, most of our decisions are based on that moral compass. So that's the first thing about what is the right thing to do. But apart from that, there's a strong business case about diversity. We want a diversity of people in our school, but also in the leadership positions as well. And through that diversity, you actually have better decisions and a much better culture within the workplace. The other part is the psychological safety, where not just through gender, but in all aspects of the way that staff work together, that we want everyone to have that psychological safety and feel valued in what they do when they come to work every day. If people love to come to work, that's when some amazing things happen, particularly in the classroom. And the last reason is the most compelling, is we've got the future in our hands, where we want the young people that come out of our college to be the future. And in order to do that, we need to be role modelling gender equity in all things we do as well. And they really come down to two parts. One is understanding, but the second part for mine is more important, is action. So the first part is really listening to stories, and there was a lot of bravery of people coming forward to tell their stories, and some of those were uncomfortable, they were confronting, but the bravery for people to feel comfortable to actually come forward and tell their stories was the most important first step. Because of that, it actually increased an awareness that we're not perfect, we do have an issue. So people coming forward with those stories really highlighted that we can be better and we should be better. So that really was the first part. From there, we had a gender advisory panel, which had men and women as part of that panel, and they were really fundamental in giving us feedback to the exec and the council about this is the reality of people day in, day out, and what are the things that we can do, the actions, if you like, that we can actually put in place to try and change that culture and improve all the things we can do. And some of the things that have happened already, going back 4 months, we did unconscious bias training for all of our middle leaders, so about 70 people were involved in that. But also at the start of last term, so about 3 months ago, we actually did a similar training exercise with all staff, so teaching and our operations and admin. And part of that was an online training component that everyone had to complete by the end of that 3-month period. So most importantly, it's actually ended up with actions which are changing behaviours. Interesting, what I've speaking to other leaders and other people in this space is you can have the best policies in the world, but unless they are actually lived and are guiding behaviours, then those policies are not worth the paper they're printed on. So that was the biggest feedback, but also where we're getting the most traction, where we've updated some of our policy statements and suites, but more importantly, if you don't match the behaviours day in, day out, then you basically will change nothing. It'll stay as it always has been. So that would be the biggest thing. Policies are fine, but it really does come down to behaviours and what's happening. So those behaviours matching the policies. Two things. One is that change will not happen unless it comes from the top down. So the Wesley College Council have really endorsed that this is an important issue, that they have given us the mandate to actually change, and some of those things are uncomfortable. So, but it's come from the College Council, from the exec. Without the top down permission, you're unlikely to get to any change. And for me, going back to what I said earlier, unless you actually embrace the tension and the uncomfortable conversations, things will just sort of be driven underground. And everything is fine, there's no problem here, just keep doing what we're doing. So unless you actually know that there's going to be some tension and there'll be some difficult conversations, and there still will be in the future, but unless you actually have that leadership from the top down and you actually know that there will be difficult conversations, then you won't get change, because those difficult conversations build a greater understanding and connection to make those changes. Policies, that's the easy part. The parts that we've really got the most change, and again, we're not perfect, but it's being acknowledged from all of our staff that we are making changes, and it is a journey that we are starting. We've still got a long way to go, there's no doubt about that. But the biggest things that that we're proud of is the fact that we have had those difficult conversations, we have had a greater understanding and put actions in place, and we know that that's having an impact because we've been doing some surveys before, and the biggest thing that's coming back is a huge increase in staff feeling psychologically safe to tell the stories, but most importantly, feeling it's safe to come forward as things do happen. So if there is an issue, there's a growing feeling of safety that they can come forward and speak about some injustice in whatever form it may be. So for me, that's what I'm most proud of. Again, we've still got a way to go, but the fact that has improved, because people coming forward in particular instances, that's when you can start to get the change. You can talk about the bigger picture, but unless you start to get change in the interactions between staff and students and parents, then you won't get that sustained change. That one, we need to change. That within education, we are holding the future. So we've got an incredible responsibility, but also an incredible opportunity to role model and actually show the young people about what can be. So for me, that's the biggest thing. And unless staff and the adults are not living that, our young people are watching and they won't change behaviours as well. So the fact that we do have that opportunity, but in order to improve and educate our young people better, we need to be willing to be vulnerable, to listen to the truth and the uncomfortable truth at times, and acknowledge that as being people's experiences. What can we do to change that? So really it's an amazing opportunity that I feel very confident and buoyed that we can get better, and the future will be better as an implication of our young people learning what is the right thing to do.